I just picked up the transmission from Endless Customs, and they did a great job painting it. So the next step is to install the OS Giken movement alteration kit. Basically what that is it takes the stock pull type clutch and converts it into a normal push type. And so that requires the whole kind of assembly, the factory assembly, to be removed, and it's replaced with the one that's provided by OS Giken. Overall, by having that in there, it will make it a lot easier in the future to service the clutch or take the transmission out if I have to. So that's the next step, and if I have additional time after that, I'll start getting all the rest of the clutch parts together, like the slave cylinder, and we'll just kind of go from there and see what I can get done. Let's have a look at what actually comes in the kit. Unfortunately, the instructions for this aren't really that great, so I'm gonna sort of try to figure this out as I go. But it comes with all the hardware, kind of like a little bracket here, and then the main kit, which comes in 2 pieces. So this is kind of where the magic happens. You can see that if you can imagine the slave cylinder pushing out on this. So as you push the clutch pedal in, this will push against the clutch. So here's how the stock fork works. Essentially, the slave cylinder on the opposite side of this is holding this out like this, and you can see that the fork is pushed out. When you push the clutch pedal in, this is what happens, and this essentially pulls the clutch plate out, releasing it. This is kind of an odd design. There aren't a lot of cars that use this. Most cars use a push type. So we're going to remove this whole fork, and then the OS Giken unit is going to go in its place. I'm just going to stop the camera real quick, and I'm just going to clean this up, and when I come back it'll be a little bit cleaner than it is now. Okay, at this point you can see it's pretty clean on the inside. I've still got some grease on the outside here that's a little bit more stubborn. I can always come back and clean this out a little bit better, but the important part is back here, since that's what we're going to be covering up. The next step is to take out these 4 bolts and pull this whole collar out, or whatever that's called, and then we'll replace it with the OS Giken supplied piece. Next step is to remove this plate that holds on the slave cylinder. This piece that was provided with the kit will replace it. Now, the way that the instructions say is to take your slave cylinder and install it onto the plate, and then see if there's clearance to the bell housing. And if there isn't clearance, then we need to shave down a bit so that the boot doesn't run into it. So let's go ahead and install these two pieces together and see where we're at. The kit also includes new hardware. And one thing to mention, this is the feed slave cylinder. So it's supposed to be a bigger cylinder than the stock unit, and can supposedly handle stronger clutches a little bit better. And since we are doing the OS Giken STR2, which is a dual plate or a twin disc clutch, this will handle the power a little bit more. Now we can sort of see here what they're talking about with the issue. So this boot that needs to move in and out gets caught on the edge of the bell housing. So I'll take a Dremel tool, probably from the outside, and just grind that off until we get some clearance here. But before I do that, I'm just going to mark it with a pen so that I know how much to take off.
Last step is to grease this up, and this is what I'm using, Valvoline synthetic grease. This is a moly based grease, which has lithium compounds in it as well. Disregard the messy garage for a second and just pay attention to what's at hand here. The transmission is up on the jack, and I'm going to try and see if I can get these two attached just by kind of nudging them together.